Power to the truth. This is Margo. This is Saturday, June the 1st, 2019, 6:18 p.m. Pacific Time, United States of America. So we're going to be looking at some climate news and earthquakes now. And Department of Water Resources in California released an update on the Oroville operations. They released it yesterday afternoon sometime. And they said, due to forecasted inflows into Lake Oroville, DWR is preparing for the potential use of Oroville's main spillway next week. DWR increased water releases from Hyatt Power Plant to approximately 10,000 cubic feet per second, or CFS, on Friday, in anticipation of higher inflows into the reservoir next week. The current elevation of Oroville Reservoir is 895 feet, and so on. So I'll leave the link below in case people want to read this. So they don't say exactly what day, but they're preparing to use it just in case. So let's see if we can get the latest lake level here. Now for 6 p.m. or 1800 on Saturday, which is 6 p.m. Pacific time, it's at 894.97. So it is going down just a little bit. And at midnight last night, it was, or this morning, it was 895.14. So I'm going to log this 894.97. So we're seeing the outflow has increased to over 11,000 CFS. It's right around 11,500 to 600. Looks like the inflow has gone from around, wow, look at this. At 7 o'clock this morning, the inflow was 5,049.44 actually. And then it came up, and the highest the inflow was at the 5 o'clock reading this afternoon was at 14,517. And then the 6 o'clock reading, it was down to 10,513. And Scott Cahill put out a new video today. And I recommend everybody watch that. And he talks about his thoughts about Oroville. And he is an expert in dam safety. And I recommend everybody watch that. So that's the latest on the Oroville situation. Next. Okay, I'm going to be presenting some climate news items. The next thing I have, this is from FEMA, Shaken Fury 2019. This is an exercise that's being performed. Let's see, where is this? Oh yeah, this is earthquake preparation for FEMA for the new Madrid hazard zone. And here's the scenario. This is okay, I'll just read this. The Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA, now this is in the United States, will conduct Shaken Fury 2019 involving a series of tabletop, functional, and full-scale exercises in partnership with the U.S. Department of Energy, U.S. Northern Command, state and local governments, and the private sector. The exercise will take place from May 29th through June 7th, so it's ongoing for this 10 days or whatever, so it started 3 days ago, and utilize a 7.7 magnitude earthquake scenario along the southwest segment of the New Madrid seismic zone near Memphis, Tennessee, to incorporate response and recovery missions. The purpose of Shaken Fury 2019 is to evaluate and improve the whole community's response to a no-notice earthquake, identify gaps in resources, and implement a coordinated recovery strategy that prioritizes resources required for the response. And you can click here and go to the fact sheet. Here's the scenario. In this exercise, a 7.7 magnitude earthquake strikes along the Cottonwood Grove Fault, the southwest segment of the New Madrid seismic zone, near Memphis, Tennessee. Partners, organizations from across the whole community are participating in the Shaken Fury 2019 exercise, including federal department and agencies, state and local governments, private sector, non-governmental organizations, critical infrastructure, and utilities. Partners are essential to the success of coordinating exercises like Shaken Fury 2019. Thank you to all partners participating in this year's exercise. Then they talk about earthquake preparedness and this and that. So they're serious. And they wouldn't be doing this unless they thought something was going to happen. Seriously. Let's look at this fact sheet. I haven't even gone here. They don't make it easy to read. Oh, it's a flyer. It's a flyer. So anyway, so that's ongoing. So let's hope something doesn't happen as a result of the drill. A lot of times when they plan these exercises, then something happens. Remember 9/11, they were having an exercise when that happened. Well, we'll keep our eye on that. Now, the next article I have for you tonight is from Wake Up in Time News. And this is from May 30th. Mississippi flooding will leave Delta farmers with no crops this year. So here's a picture of how high the water's gotten. Here's the street sign. The water is almost covering up the street sign. Chickasaw Lane. Everything is underwater. Floods claim homes, farms, livelihoods, recovery years away. Flooding being called the worst since the Great Flood of 1927. It will take years for many Delta communities where farmers are the backbone to fully recover. Farmers say flooding has gotten more regular, but they stop short of blaming climate change. Calls rise for EPA to reconsider a pump project that could mitigate flooding in the Delta. With an inundation of rain since February, the lower Delta continues to battle backwater flooding. Eagle Lake in Warren County remains underwater. Under the blazing noon sun, dozens of volunteers, soldiers, and inmates in Warren County filled sandbags to bolster a miles-long barrier, the only thing separating homes from a rising sea of muddy water. Well, if anyone's familiar with the Gordon Michael Scallion map of Earth changes, it shows the sea levels rising on all the coasts and also the Mississippi River. It basically is so flooded it cuts the United States into two parts. So I don't think they're going to be able to stay there, in my opinion. So all farms, no crops this year in the Mississippi Delta. So there's that. And now we're going to go to the other side of the world. And this is Tanzanian farmers are facing heavy prison sentences if they continue their traditional seed exchange. Now this is a very, very sad article. This is in Tanzania, which is in Africa. And it says, in order to receive development assistance, Tanzania has to give Western agribusiness full freedom and give enclosed protection for patented seeds. 80% of the seeds are being shared and sold in an informal system between neighbors, friends, and family. The new law criminalizes the practice in Tanzania. So you can't have an organic farm. So if you buy seeds from Syngenta or Monsanto under the new legislation, they will retain the intellectual property rights. If you save seeds from your first harvest, you can use them only on your own piece of land for non-commercial purposes. You're not allowed to share them with your neighbors or with your sister-in-law in a different village, and you cannot sell them for sure. But that's the entire foundation of the seed system in Africa. Under the new law, Tanzanian farmers risk a prison sentence of at least 12 years or a fine of over 205,300, I guess that's euros, or both, if they sell seeds that are not certified. That's an amount that a Tanzanian farmer cannot even start to imagine. The average wage is less than $2 a day. So Tanzania applied the legislation concerning intellectual property rights on seeds as a condition for receiving development assistance through the new Alliance for Food Security and Nutrition, or NAFSN. The NAFSN was launched in 2012 by the G8 with the goal to help 50 million people out of poverty and hunger in the 10 African partner countries through a public-private partnership. The initiative receives the support of the EU, the US, the UK, and the World Bank, and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Companies that invest in the NAFSN are expected to pay attention to small-scale farmers and women in their projects, but sometimes little of that is noticed. As a result, the NAFSN receives a lot of criticism from NGOs and civil society movements. Even the European Parliament issued a very critical report in May this year to urge the European Commission to take action. So you have to buy with this. So basically what this is saying, with this alliance, you have to purchase seeds from Syngenta or Monsanto, which are all GMO'd, and you have to buy them every year because they're GMO'd, and you can't grow organically because GMO is not organic. You can't share seeds, share your old seeds, share your heirloom seeds with anybody. It's against the law. So in practice, it means that the 50 million people that the new alliance wants to help can escape poverty and hunger only if they buy seeds every year from the companies that are standing behind the G8. And so it's all messed up. And there's that woman. Currently, a farmer is allowed to sell recognized seeds in only 3 surrounding villages, but the government says it wants to expand this at the district level with the new legislation. So you gotta have certified recognized seeds. It can't be something out of your backyard. Whatever. Big Brother all around the world. Anyway, I'll leave the link to that article. And I've got one more to share, and then we'll do our earthquake report. This is from Robin Westenra from New Zealand. This is his first report on the Arctic sea ice, and I've reported a couple of times on it already and shown the conditions of the Arctic, you know, on NASA Worldview, and using the same tools that he's using. But this is, you know, I think mine is, the last I did was a few days ago, so this is current. And so he says, an early start to the Arctic sea ice melt. And so he made a video, and so there's his video. It's on YouTube. So here's the sea ice extent as of June the 1st. This is from Climate Reanalyzer. This is extent and concentration. We can see that the bluer it is, the less concentrated it is. So you can see it's all melted on this western side of Greenland now, and all pretty much all the way around the coast of Alaska, and then coming into Canada into these little islands. That's all melted now. And it's melting quickly around the coastlines of Siberia, and it's not very thick. And then he shows the concentration. This is on the Navy website, and this is from National Snow and Ice Data Center, and this is from the Navy website, the thickness as of May 31st. So you can see the purple and the lavender is the thinnest. So, and here's NASA Worldview from May 30th. And here's the Bering Strait and Chukchi Sea right here. You can see that's totally ice-free now in the Bering Strait. Here's the Beaufort Sea. Here. You can see that's all broken up. Here's another view of that's the whole Arctic. But he's showing, I think, the Bering Strait being clear there. Here's Novaya Zemlya. We can see the ice melting all around there. Lots of methane has been coming up there. And Svalbard, it's melted almost all the way around Svalbard. Oh, he's comparing from this year and last year. Yeah, that's what he's doing. And then northeast Siberia and the Chukchi Sea, we can see it's already broken up. So I will leave the link below to that. So thank you, Robin, for that report. We can see that the melting has gotten off with a bang. So now let's move on over to earthquakes. So I have USGS pulled up here for all magnitudes for the last 24 hours, and we're seeing 313 earthquakes worldwide. And of those, 40 are 2.5 magnitude or higher. They just popping in. See these red ones? We saw that one just now pop in on the map at Iran. So let's see what's about to come off the map. Here's a 4.5. This came in at 6:44 last night. Near, it's off the coast of El Salvador, it looks like. 4.5 near La Libertad at 6:44 last night. 66 kilometers deep. Let's see what else. Hawaii, 2.7, volcano Hawaii, that was at 7:15. 2.6, Anchorage, Alaska. Alright, so I think I'll start over here in Albania. We're definitely seeing an event going on over here in Albania. How many is this since yesterday? 8. All in the same place. And the largest one was this 5.2. I think. We'll see. I'll call them off. 5.2. These are all near Korçë, Albania. This came in at 9:26 last night. All of these times are Pacific time because that's my time zone. Here's a 4.9 at 9:33 p.m. last night. 4.8 at 9:51 p.m. last night. 5.0 at right at midnight. 4.4 at 8:19 this morning. 4.3 at 11:30 this morning. 4.2 at 11:37 this morning. And a 4.4 at 11:50 this morning. So nothing since 11:50, but that's a lot of activity for there. So that's in the Mediterranean, but it's on land, right? And it's part of the Mediterranean, and the red line goes right by there. Next, let's look at this one that just came in Iran. 4.5 near Iran Shah, Iran at 6:16 this evening. 62 kilometers deep. Now down here in Indonesia was a 4.6 off the coast near Geysers at 9:13 last night. Next was a 5.0 near Luwuk at 9:14 this morning. Then 5.1 near Pandaguitan, Philippines at 2:45 this morning. 94 kilometers deep on that. Then up here, 5.1 near Iwo Jima, Japan. It's out in the ocean though. At 1:13 this afternoon. I think that's all on this side. Now coming on across to South America was a 4.5 near La Serena, Chile at 3:59 this morning. 4.6 near Mosoc, Concha, Peru at 10:55 this morning. And then here in the Atlantic, remember we had 2 or 3 up here yesterday, and it's continuing right down this mid-Atlantic ridge line. Here is a 5.3 at the central mid-Atlantic ridge at 8:03 this morning. Next was a 5.4 at the southern mid-Atlantic ridge at 3:17 this morning. And then this one just came in, a 4.7 southern mid-Atlantic ridge at 6:07 p.m. So that's all of the international quakes for now. So now we're going to switch over to all magnitudes and look at Hawaii. There's 17 here. So we've got, they're mainly down here at Pahala. We've got a few up here by Kilauea and a few up here by Mauna Loa. Sorry about my voice. That's the way it is. That's a 2.7 at Kilauea. 2.0, 1.8, those are at Mauna Loa. And so on. And then these. So there's 11 down here. And they're all they're like in the 2s range. 2.5, 2.1, 2.1, 2.5, and so forth. So that's showing quite a bit of activity there. Now let's look at the Caribbean. We've got 14 here today. The largest one is this 4.0 near Roadtown, British Virgin Islands. And then the rest are like under that. 2.6, that's one of the larger ones. 2.5. Now these are not big enough to cause damage, but they are big enough to show movement. We can see they're sometimes they stack up in pairs. So there's 14 there today. Now let's move on up to Alaska. We've got 69 here today. Of those, we have 3 that are 2.5 magnitude or higher. There's a 2.6 near Anchorage, 2.8 near Cantwell, and a 3.0 near Chirikoff Island. So we can see they're coming in around this curve here that I call it the armpit, because that's what it looks like to me. And they're still happening on these on these Aleutian Islands here. And now they're picking back up around Mount Redoubt, it looks like. And then here's the Anchorage area, and then they're spreading on up through the middle part of the state. Here's Kobuk, here's Shishmaref, there's a 1.7 there. We've been seeing one almost every day there at Shishmaref for the last week. Here's a 2.1 Koktovik, and Kobuk has 8 here today. They have a lot of mining here, so that's what's going on in Alaska. Now coming down into the lower 48, we're going to start with this one in the Atlantic Ocean, just off the coast of the Atlantic City, New Jersey. It's a 2.0. It says the reporting station is Brigantine, New Jersey. This came in at 2:49 this morning, 7 kilometers deep. We normally don't see them in the ocean like that. But there is a lot of methane being released out of the northeast right now. Then the next one here in Tennessee, a 2.6 near Manchester at 11:45 this morning. At the surface, 0 kilometer depth. Now that drill that they're doing, now here's Memphis, so they're doing it right around in here from what we read. This is, and I haven't showed this in a while, but you can go to the earthquake settings over here and where is that? U.S. hazard. You can click on that and it highlights the areas that are the hazard zones for the United States. And this area is the New Madrid seismic zone. Then over here is the Yellowstone area, and then this is the Cascadia subduction zone coming down all the way down, and then this is the San Andreas fault line. So we can see the whole west coast of the United States is part of the hazard zone, and then it also comes down through the mountains here. So I'm going to turn that off now. Next, we're going to move up to Oklahoma. We saw several here yesterday, and I was thinking because of the weight of the water with the flooding. So maybe I don't know. So we got a 1.7 Helena, 2.0 Blackwell, 1.6 Blanchard, 1.5 Perry, and 1.8 alva. Then Utah is clear. Yellowstone has 2, a 1.3 near Manhattan, Montana, and a -0.2 near Polson, Montana. And then in the Pacific Northwest, we have 3 here today. We have a 2.6 near Erlin's Point, Kitsap Lake, Washington. 1.3 Morton and a 0.4 Morton, and these are near Mount St. Helens. Now have the real-time tremor map pulled up. And for May 31st, they had 200 little tremors in the epicenter. They were centered around Vancouver Island, and then here in Oregon, near Eugene, Oregon, and then to the southwest of Medford, Oregon, and then a couple down here in the Shasta National Forest by Redding. So that's where the tremors were located. But if we look back, when was it? Oh, we didn't have any data that day. I guess it was last week that there were so many tremors right around Seattle. But anyway. So, stuff is happening. Definitely. Now coming on down. Let's go over to Nevada next. We've got 3 in the Reno area today. Actually, they're down here in the mountains, in the Mount Rose area. There's a 1.2, 0 magnitude, and a 0.8. Then here's one to the east of Fallon, a 1.0. Here's one by Walker Lake, a 0.9. And pretty quiet. Well, I spoke too soon. Look at all this. Here's a 1.2 Pioche, 0.8 Alamo, 0.6 Pahrump. Now let's see. Oh my gosh. 27 here at Alamo today. What is going on there? Just what are they doing down there in Area 51 in the underground? Are they building another level? Are they tunneling? Are they boring? Who knows? Maybe they're revving up one of the retrieved UFOs. I don't know. Now, look at all these that are 2.5 magnitude or higher. There are 5. Here's a 3.0, 2.8. Now, these started at 1:30 this afternoon. Then at 1:26. Then at 1:27 was a 2.8. At 1:52 was a 2.6. At 2:08 was a 2.6. And then at 6:52 was this 3.7. That's the biggest one. So something's happening. What can I say? There they are. 28 at Alamo. Uh-oh. Look up here. We just had this one come in. They're calling it near McLeod, but it's just north of Shasta Lake. This is Shasta Lake. There's a reservoir there. Here's Mount Shasta up here. So this is a 1.7. It came in at 6:53 this evening. Okay, let's come on down. Here's a 2.8 near Lake Pillsbury at 2:07 this morning. Here at the Geysers are 28 today. See if any of those are 2.5 magnitude or higher. No. So that's a lower number, but it's still a lot. These are small. These are 1s and under. Coming on down. Here's a 1.6 in the ocean, right on that San Andreas fault line near Muir Beach at 3:55 this morning. 2.7 Tres Pinos, 1.1 Pinnacles, 1.6 Pinnacles, 0.9 Parkfield, okay, we'll come back to Southern California in a minute. Here's Mammoth Lakes. We've got 5 here today. 1.5 and under. Coso Junction and Little Lake has 1. Well, that slowed down to 0.9. And then here's that's near Beatty, a 0.1. That's the Little Lake. Now let's move into Southern California. We've got 106 on the map today, folks. Doesn't look like it, does it? But I'm telling you, it's all happening right up here at Glen Avon. .6 just came in there at 6:41. But that's the happening place, is right there at Glen Avon. So let's zoom on in. And we're seeing a lot more little earthquakes around there too. Yesterday it was mainly centered right there, but there's 78 on the map right now. When I looked there this morning, there were like 90, 96 or 91 or something in this area. So I have no clue what's going on here. But here's Corona. The Prado Dam is right down here at this intersection between Highway 71 and Highway 91 where they intersect. So I don't know. I just don't know. But there's definitely an uptick, and you can see more coming down here. They're just spread around. So I'm not going to go over every single little one of those. But the big story is here at Glen Avon. And over here at Alamo. That one just came in, a 1.8 at Alva, Oklahoma. We saw that, we saw that. So that's a wrap for the earthquakes. And I do believe we are in the end times. And I recommend everyone get their spiritual houses in order. And if people would like to join me on Subscribestar for $5 a month, I give more complete reports over there for my members, including methane whenever it's released from cams, which is it's coming out on a daily basis. And I'm also doing readings from the Bible and spiritual talks and things like that, in addition to other things. So I'm posting public posts, private posts, and you're able to message me over there, and you can comment. So there's that. So until next time, God bless, go in peace, and good night.